Welcome back everyone. Today we are going to start chapter 5, water. So when you think of water, what image comes to your mind? You think of rivers, the waterfalls, the pitter patter of raindrops, water in your taps. Children love to float paper boats in rain puddles. By noon the puddles vanish. Where does the water go? The sun's heat causes evaporation of water into vapors. When the water vapor cools down, it condenses and forms clouds. From there, it may fall on the land or sea in the form of rain, snow, or sleet. The process by which water continually changes its form and circulates between oceans, atmosphere, and land is known as the water cycle. So you can see the water cycle in figure 5.1. So you can see here the water is evaporated and then it condenses and precipitation occurs and it falls as rain in the surface, and then water runs off and again the cycle repeats itself through evaporation. So here is a glossary of terrarium. It is an artificial enclosure for keeping small house plants. Now the process by which water continually changes its form and circulates between ocean, atmosphere and land is known as the water cycle. Our earth is like a terrarium. The same water that existed centuries ago still exists today. The water used to irrigate a field in Haryana may have flowed down the Amazon River 100 years ago. The major source of fresh water are the rivers, ponds, springs and glaciers. Here is an activity. Make your own terrarium. Fill 1/4 of a big jar with soil and press it well. Put a thin layer of humus on top of it. Plant the largest plants first and then arrange the smaller ones around them. Spray the arrangement with water and close the jar. The water then evaporates from the leaves and soil condenses and falls back in the form of drop of water. So the ocean bodies and the sea contains salty water. The water of the oceans are salty or saline as it contains amount of dissolved salt. Most of the salt is sodium chloride or the common salt, table salt that you eat. So you can see in the figure world's major sea, lakes, rivers, etc. in this map. So you can see here all the major seas, lakes and rivers are given in this map. So here is a do you know section. Salinity is the amount of salt in grams percent in 100,000 grams of water. The average salinity of the ocean is 35 parts per thousand. Distribution of water bodies. We all know that 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered by water. If there is more water than land on this earth, why do so many countries face water scarcity? In all the water on earth available to us, the following table gives the distribution of water in percentage. So here is the distribution of water in percentage. Ocean is 97.3%. Ice caps is 2%. Groundwater is 0.68% and freshwater lakes are 0.009%. Inland seas and salt lakes are 0.009%. Atmosphere has 0.0019% and rivers have 0.0001%. So all this constitutes of 100%. So you can see the freshwater availability is very low and saline water is 97.3%. So here is a do you know section. Dead Sea in Israel has salinity of 340 grams per liter of water. It is too much. Swimmers can float in it because the increased salt content makes it dense. Water distribution can be demonstrated by a simple activity as you can see in the box. So here is an activity. Take 2 liters of water. Let it represent the total water on the surface of the earth. Measure out 12 spoons of water from this vessel into another bowl. So take another 12 spoons of water to another bowl The water that is left behind is the vessel represent the salty water found in ocean and seas. This water is obviously not fit for consuming. It is saline, contains salt. The 12 spoons of water that we have taken in a bowl is the total amount of fresh water on earth. The figure shows us the distribution of this fresh water. See for yourself how much water can actually be used by you. So you can see from 12 teaspoon, 9 teaspoon is ice caps. 2 spoons are groundwater and half spoon is freshwater lake and 1 drop is equal to river. So you can see very little amount of water is available as fresh water. Water is absolutely essential for survival. Water alone can quench our thirst when we are thirsty. Now, don't you think we are wasting a precious resource when we use water carelessly? So here is a collage of water crisis and the need of water by the human being. So you can see why is water important for us. Suggest some ways in which water can be conserved. A, in your home. B, in your soul. So you can see the newspaper cuttings here. Ganga among 10 dying rivers. The water you drink. Every drop counts. Water scenario in urban India and Delhi. Coping with water scarcity. More than just a problem. Many major rivers in danger of drying out. So it's a very big problem. So we should always save water. Ocean circulation. There is something magical about walking barefoot on the seashore. The wet sand on the beach, the cool breeze, the seabirds, the smell of the salt in the air, and music of the waves. Everything is so fascinating. Unlike the calm water of pond and lakes, ocean water keeps moving continuously. It is never still. The movement that occurs in ocean can be broadly categorized as waves, tides, and currents. So here is a do you know section. It is March 22 is celebrated as World Water Day. We all know that. When the need to conserve water is reinforced in different ways. So here is the waves section. When you are playing throw ball on the beach and the ball falls into the water, what happens? It is fun to watch how the ball goes washed back to the shore by the waves. When the water on the surface of the ocean rises and falls alternatively, they are called waves. So we know that what is wave. So there is a do you know section. Here it says waves are formed when winds scrape across the ocean surface. The stronger the wind blows, the bigger the wave becomes. So during a storm, the wind blowing at very high speed forms huge waves. These may cause tremendous destruction. An earthquake, volcanic eruption, or underwater landslide can shift large amount of ocean water. So these things can shift the large amount of ocean water. As a result, a huge tidal wave called tsunami that may be as high as 15 meter is formed. The largest tsunami ever measured was 150 meter high. These waves travel at a speed of more than 700 km per hour. The tsunami of 2004 caused widespread damage in the coastal areas of India. The Indra Point in the Andaman Nicobar Island got submerged after the tsunami. So here's a do you know section. Here it says tsunami is a Japanese word that means harbor waves, as the harbors get destroyed whenever there is tsunami. So there is a tsunami box here. Tsunami, the earth's pandemonium. Tsunami or the harbor wave struck havoc in the Indian Ocean on the 26th December of 2004. The wave was the result of the earthquake that hit its epicenter close to the western boundary of Sumatra. The magnitude of the earthquake was 9.0 on the Richter scale, so it was too much. As the Indian plate went under the Burma plate, there was a sudden movement of the sea flow, causing the earthquake. The ocean flow was displaced by about 10 to 20 meter and tilted in a downwardly direction. A huge mass of ocean water flowed to fill in the gap that was being created by the displacement. This marked the withdrawal of the water mass from the coastline of the land masses in the South and Southeast Asia. After thrusting of the ocean Indian plain below the Burma plate, the water mass rushed back towards the coastline. The tsunami traveled at a speed of about 800 km per hour, comparable to the speed of a commercial aircraft, and completely washed away some of the islands on the Indian Ocean. The Indra Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Island that marked the southernmost point of India got completely submerged. As the wave moved from earthquake epicenter from Sumatra towards the Andaman Island and Sri Lanka, the wave length decreased with decreasing depth of water. The travel speed also declined from 700 to 900 km per hour to less than 70 km per hour. The tsunami waves traveled up to a deep depth of 3 km from the coast, killing more than 10,000 people and affecting more than lakhs of houses. In India, the worst affected were the coastal area of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry, and the Andaman and Nicobar Island. While the earthquake cannot be predicted in advance, it is possible to give a 3-hour notice of a potential tsunami. Such early warning systems are in place across the Pacific Ocean but not in the Indian Ocean. Tsunamis are rare in the Indian Ocean as the seismic activity is less as compared to the Pacific. So you can see destruction caused by the tsunami on Tamil Nadu coast. The tsunami that ravaged the South and Southeast Asian coasts in December 2004 is the most devastating tsunami in the last several hundred years. The large damage caused to life and property was primarily a result of lack of monitoring, the early warning system and knowledge among the coast dwellers of Indian Ocean. The first identification that tsunami is approaching is the rapid withdrawal of water from the coastal region, followed by a destructive wave. When this happened on the coast, instead of people going to high ground, they started assembling and at the coast to view the miracle. As a consequence, there was a large casualty of curious onlookers when the gigantic wave tsunami struck. So it is very sad. So here is the tide section. The rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water twice in a day is called a tide. It is high tide when water covers much of the shore by rising to its highest level. It is low tide when water falls to its lowest level and recedes from the shore. So this is called tide. The strong gravitational pull exerted by the sun and the moon on the earth's surface causes the tides. The water of the earth closer to the moon gets pulled under the influence of the moon's gravitational force and causes high tides. During the full moon and new moon days, the sun, the moon and the earth are in the same line and the tides are highest. These tides are called spring tides. But when the moon is in the first and last quarter, the ocean water gets drawn in diagonally opposite direction by the gravitational pull of sun and the moon, resulting in low tides. These tides are called neap tides. You can see it in figure 5.5, spring tides and neap tides. High tides help in navigation. They raise the water level close to the shores. This helps the ships to arrive at the harbor more easily. The high tides also help in fishing. Many more fish come closer to the shore during the high tide. This enables fishermen to get a plentiful catch. The rise and fall of water due to tides is being used to generate electricity in some places. So here is an activity. Fill 3/4 of the bucket with tap water. Heat the water by putting an immersion rod on one side of the bucket. On the other side, introduce an ice tray just removed from the freezer. Add a drop of red ink to observe the path of current by the process of convection. So here is the ocean currents. Ocean currents are streams of water flowing constantly on the ocean surface in definite direction. The ocean currents may be warm or cold, as in figure 5.6. Generally, the warm ocean currents originate near the equator and move towards the pole. The cold currents carry water from polar or higher latitude to the lower or tropical latitudes. The Labrador-Kuhn current is cold current while the Gulf Stream is warm current. The ocean current influence the temperature condition of the area. Warm currents bring about warm temperature over land surface. The area where the warm and cold current meet provide the best fishing ground of the world. Seas around Japan and the eastern coast of America are such examples. The area where warm and cold current meet also experience foggy weather, making it difficult to navigate. So you can see the ocean currents in the figure 5.6. So it is given here. So here the chapter is finished and we will start the next chapter in the next class. Thank you.